right, welcome to the cockpit. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot today. I am joined alongside my co-pilot. I have Mr. Dan Mitchell. Thank you so much for coming on.
Ryan, what's going on, man? First off, you definitely need to connect me with whoever made that intro. That shit was fire, dude. First time I've seen it, by the way. Some good stuff. You made that yourself, or you
It was
outsourced that?
so my buddy, who's a big Jet fan, made it for me. He's just like, yo, dude, I put something together, sent it over. I was like, it's going on all the live streams now.
Well, I mean, say that he's watching this episode, bro. I mean, let me know. I'm not sure if a Jets guy is, just going to be able to actually bring himself to a level to make himself a Bills intro, but, hit your boy up. That was sick.
I love it. I love it. Boys and girls, if you have not subscribed to Dan Mitchell, make sure you hit the link in the description down below. If you go over there today, go sub him up, go to his most recent video and say Jets Talk sent you there. And we're going to pick someone at the end of the stream. Someone's going to win a t-shirt. So that's what we're doing. All right. See? Some real live action sub getting for Mr. Dan Mitchell. Let's show him some love. Give away a shirt as well. And maybe he'll want to come over and hang out with us another time in the future. Also sub up the AFC East Roundtable. Both those are linked in the description down below. But Dan, we've got a game coming up. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Our defense, it highlights our team. Your offense highlights your team. You just got rid of Ken Dorsey. Bills kind of reeling a little bit. I know that last second loss stung. I thought the Jets were going to have the worst game of our division this past weekend, but I think Monday night set me aside. Yeah, it was one of those like, I don't feel as bad anymore. How you feeling after that loss?
Man, I mean, was joking around on the AFC's roundtable when TD was trying to ask me, he's like, Dan, how you feeling? And I said, you know what? It starts off as anger, then it's depression, and then it's acceptance, like right at this time. It's funny because I regularly get trolled, especially since I've started this whole YouTube journey, I've been like a very overly confident Buffalo Bills fan. People are like, oh, Dan, haha, like how you feeling? Like, bro, listen, I grew up in the darkness. I grew up in the pain. I understand what the drought life is like for this Buffalo Bills team. It sucks, man. It really does. And I mean, I feel that there should have been warning signs, I would say, toward halfway through the season last year. It all started with that Jets game last year, right in the middle of the season, where Allen ended up having his elbow situation going into it. And there's been a bunch of warning signs, but now it just has seemed to overall implode. I've said this before, something stinks within the Buffalo Bills offense. And I said that there was several ingredients, right? There was McDermott, there was Dorsey, and there was Josh Allen. Dorsey is now removed from that equation. So let's see exactly what it smells like on Sunday against the Jets. Unfortunately, it just so happens to be up against the defense, which we have historically struggled against. And now we have an offensive coordinator who is about 34 years old. This is his first time within the system. So I think going into Sunday, all I'm looking for is improvements, things that can really highlight our run game a bit, because quite frankly, I think that's the only way that we can be successful against this Jets defense. I think that this secondary is going to shut down literally any quarterback that you put up against them. So really what I'm hoping for is that Joe Brady can go out and just show me the ability to adjust. If something isn't working, I don't want him to continue to call the same shit that's not working and just hope for the best. So I have expectations here and there, but like I said, I'm getting to that level of acceptance right now where if we don't make the playoffs, I'm not going to drive myself crazy thinking that we will, if that makes sense.
Sure. I actually really like your new offensive coordinator, Joe Brady. It was someone that I wanted the Jets to target for offensive coordinator when we were bringing in Saleh initially. And he has some experience down in LSU with both Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, as well as under Sean Payton's staff in New Orleans with Michael Thomas. He's had some really good wide receivers, and I believe he was the OC for the Panthers a few years ago when Robbie Anderson cooked us on opening day for a touchdown. So I think Stefon Diggs has got to be feeling a little bit better, you would think. Or is this like, what's this rift going on in the Buffalo locker room that feels like there's something there with Stefon Diggs and maybe Allen or the team?
See, the thing is that my theory when it comes into Stefon Diggs is that he didn't want to come out and say this outright, but really what I think the issue was that he did not like the way that offense was being called whatsoever. I think when you look back into the Dorsey days, he was really trying to force feed the idea that this team needs to run out of 12-man personnel. It needs to be 90% out of shotgun, and basically like putting the wrong chef in charge with the ingredients in front of them. I think that Stephon Diggs is going to be a hell of a lot happier. I'm not going to lie to you, because when I see clips of him as far as the practice clips are concerned, I think that this was it was the underlying issue, because it's crazy to me. And even Gronkowski was being interviewed the other day, and he was saying, I have no idea what the hell Stephon Diggs' problem is right now. He's literally just about to get up right to 1,000 yards for the 4th straight year. They're undoubted number one, and he's been a part of a team that's been in a conversation of being contenders for the past 3 years. What is he upset about? I think it only goes down to that point where he wants to win. He wants to be able to win a championship before he retires. And he just didn't think that there was the right captain in charge. And I think once Dable ended up leaving, I think that the whole Dorsey thing started really unraveling. I joke around and I say that, some Bills fans are just like, oh, dude, yeah, well, that first half of the season in 2022, he looked great. And I said, yeah, because it took the league that long to realize that he only had 10 plays. And he was just, rotating between the two. Of course, defenses are going to figure that out eventually. But, dude, we're just optimistic. And so, we're optimistic by itself. Joe Brady runs a lot of 10 and 11-man personnel. And that is, in my opinion, what the Buffalo Bills thrive on. That's why they look so good under Brian Dable. So not only do I hope that Diggs is happy with the situation, because we're essentially going back to at least a form of that play calling, but at the same time, shit, man, I'm ready for it.
Dude, there's just so many storylines between our two teams. Obviously, the opening night loss of Aaron Rodgers and the win with the Gibson return on the special team stuff. But even, brothers, you got Dalvin Cook and James Cook going up against each other for the second time. And Dalvin Cook has not looked too good. James Cook looking pretty solid as of late. How are you feeling about how are you feeling about your running game overall?
So the thing is that I loved the production that was out there from the run game. And this is going to be very difficult for me to come out and predict exactly what we're going to do, especially since we have new tutelage and a new play caller that's going to be in action for them. I love the production. I really, really do. But what's been frustrating is that we always tend to move away from it. We'll have an absolute successful first quarter, and then, for the second and the third quarter, it's completely abandoned. And then it's just right back to shotgun pass plays. So I love the production from that side. We have Leonard Fournette sitting on the practice squad, and I am pounding the table that we can get this man activated to this roster. Because James Cook, great year. He's solid, but he's not a north-south runner. And I feel like our offense has been trying to make him a north-south runner. He's not built from that from a personnel standpoint. He's not big enough. That's not where his skill set is. But very optimistic about what we can put together on. And so the ground game, and like I said at the beginning of this episode, I think that needs to be a massive part of our game plan against this Jets defense on Sunday if we do want to come out with a win.
Yeah, the Jets defense has notoriously been very stout against Josh Allen. I believe it's statistically his worst defense that he goes against on a consistent basis. And the Jets have not played with a lead at all. The Jets didn't take their first offensive snap with a lead until second quarter of week 5, I think is what it wound up being. Absolutely absurd. The defense has been playing out of their mind. They're getting a ton of pressure without sending any extra additional rushers. They want to be able to force. Yeah, I was gonna say they want to force Allen into those mistakes, and you saw a little bit last week, and I feel like we've seen it a little bit more since Brian Dable has left. Is Allen trying to play hero ball, and whether that's him, breaking loose on a run and just trying to get that extra few yards, and a fumble happens, or he's trying to use his arm strength to muscle in a throw that most people can't get to. What are your feelings on Josh Allen and his high highs and his low lows? I've kind of talked about him similarly to Brett Favre with legs, where you live with the turnovers because the highs are so good.
Yeah, no, dude. I definitely get it. So the thing is that I feel like Josh Allen has been the exact same quarterback for the past couple of years, right? Because if you look at his overall turnovers, he's literally right in line for where he is each and every single year. So you have to ask yourself, why isn't he looking as good as he typically did? And I ended up boiling it down to that we were so used to getting to a point where each and every single offensive drive either ended in a Josh Allen turnover or it ended in points, right? That's why you would see all these crazy stats, be like, oh, look at Josh Allen. He had 3 turnovers. He had 2 picks and so a lost fumble, but they still won by 3 scores. How the hell is that? That's because our offense was operating on an efficient matter by itself. Like that was the insurance policy, that they knew that this offense could regularly make long drives and end in points minus the turnovers. The difference is that now each and every single Bills drive is either ending in an Allen turnover or a 3 and out, or just like boneheaded drops, and then sometimes points. And so the Buffalo Bills, I think, might have had like 6 field goal attempts in the past 5 weeks. This offense is just not moving. So I've accepted.
You're talking like, I would feel great if we only had 6 field goals in the last few games. We've had so many freaking field goal attempts as a Jets fan.
And so I said attempts. And so I'm not saying we're hitting them either.
That's
right.
True. That's true.
Yeah. Like we're barely getting into that. So I really just need a new field general out there, because Josh is not going to ever fix his turnover problem. He is never going to. He's year 6 into the NFL. That's how he plays. He's an absolute baller. I love when he plays hero ball, because that's who he is. Yes, you get crazy highs, but then you also get those lows. And I think half of the reason is several Bills fans are trying to say that this coaching staff tried to neuter him. And I'm all for Josh being able to eventually become a pocket passer. But if you're going to do that, then give him a fucking run game. I'm sorry if I'm cussing on your channel without, asking for permission right there. Yeah.
Go for
it. Give him a run. Yeah, listen, if you want your running quarterback to stop using his legs, all right, and just be a pocket passer, you better give him a run game, right? Because then you're just taking away everything that made your offense efficient in the first place. So I have criticisms for Josh, right? I still do. He's making very dumb mistakes. I'm not going to be too pissed off at him when a ball is tipped and say it's an interception. I'm not going to be pissed if he just throws a piss missile right at Gabe Davis's chest and it bounces off right into CJ Mosley's hands or something like that. I'm not. But his dumb interceptions are getting terrible. But I think at the end of the day, we just need to unlock the overall offensive efficiency, where even if he does mess up and turns the ball over, that every other drive we know it's ending at the very least in points, right in a field goal.
Boys and girls, I have Dan Mitchell here joining me, Buffalo Bills YouTuber. If you want to get in on the t-shirt giveaway at the end of the stream, I have his channels linked down below in the description. Head over to his channel, subscribe, and comment on his most recent video. Jets Talk sent you here, and we're going to pick a winner at the end of this stream for a shot at a jersey or a t-shirt or something like that. We'll spin the wheel. We'll have all this sorts of fun.
I love it.
All right. Let's move on to our next topic, the Jets offense against the Bills defense. You guys are now without Trey White, now without Milano. It's kind of been the Jet killer for the last few years. How are you guys feeling on defense? Because I think it's easy as fans to just get lost on the Bills offensive side of things with Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs, and it's kind of easy to forget the Bills defense. You guys have Von Miller back. We did not go against Von Miller week 1. How have you guys been performing since week 1?
See, surprisingly enough, right? Because when everyone's yelling at each other, what's wrong with the Buffalo Bills? And if anybody ever comes out and tries to say, Dan, it's the defense, we're decimated by injuries, that's not the case at all. It's definitely a massive difference from when Leslie Frazier was calling this defense until Sean McDermott ended up taking over and started taking over those play calling responsibilities, right? It sucked losing out on Milano. It sucked losing out on Trey White, especially Daquan Jones right in that interior. But this defense is doing everything that you need it to. I really do kind of wish that these turnovers would sort of skyrocket quite a bit. It's been, I believe, since week 5 since we've had an interception in general. We had a fumble recovery last week, which was great. But with all of the injuries that are plaguing defense, as we know right now, still completely exceeding expectations. I think it really just comes down into the overall play calling. not a lot of big splash plays, but like they are making the stops when it is absolutely necessary. The only thing that I think is the issue with the defense is that the offense can sustain long drives and they're absolutely gassed by the end of the week. Or like we're stopped right in like deep into our own territory and we're punting like nearly right to like the 50-yard line and the defense is out there absolutely gassed. But it's solid, you know, like as far as what I'm expecting from this Bills defense, I think that what's going to be important for the for us is to definitely win that line of scrimmage. I think that there's a lot of opportunities for this defensive line to really be able to win at that point. That and the fact that Zach Wilson holds onto the ball like relatively long, especially compared to most quarterbacks the Bills have been playing already this year. So I think that we need to dominate that aspect because I know that y'all have a lot of several injuries on the offensive line, right?
Yeah, we're on like the whole right side of our offensive line is all backups. From basically our center to the left-hand side are probably who we would prefer to be in those positions. Like we drafted Tippmann in the second round. He's now our center. Laken Tomlinson we got last year in free agency. And then
Yeah.
Becton has been our left tackle. But the right-hand side has kind of been a little bit of a squirrely situation.
Yeah, it's funny too because you did mention Von Miller. I wouldn't worry about Von Miller whatsoever. He's been non-existent since he's been back.
Wow.
He's been non-existent since he's been back. It's like even getting to a point right now where, like, I mean, obviously it's going to take some time for you to truly get back to 100% after an ACL injury. But most Bills fans are actually calling for us to decrease his snaps and give them over to Greg Rousseau or Floyd or same thing with AJ Epinesa because he's really not the same. It sucks losing out on Daquan Jones as well. Of course, we ended up getting, 47-year-old Linval Joseph over here, like right in the
Yep.
interior as well, which has sort of been like a last minute like move of desperation.
Plug in.
But it's still operating. I think that they are a bit banged up, but I'm just waiting for these guys to be unleashed on the defensive line sort of things. I'd say linebackers are still pretty weak for the most part. Losing out on Milano sucks. You have Dorian Williams, a rookie who's still coming into his own. I think that we have to go on ahead and then give him a bit more of a shot.
Was he
And then,
Tulane? Is that where he went to school?
yeah, he went to Tulane. He was third overall, like very lengthy, like really good in coverage. I mean, he's a rookie. Like
I remember looking at him.
Yeah. Very similar, like specs as Edmonds, as far as height, as far as weight, as far as wingspan. So I think we're really optimistic that we're going to be able to get somebody that can transition into what he meant for our defense, although that he hasn't really been looking that good in Chicago this year. So it looks like we're okay in that category. But that's going to be something, obviously, that we are going to be sort of making sure that we do like have an eye on. And then as far as our secondary, I love what Benford has been doing. I mean, it's funny because we drafted Kyer Elam and then lo and behold, and so that same year when we draft this guy in the 6th round, he's so much better than Kyer Elam, and now he's our starting Stevie One essentially. And now Rasul Douglas from Green Bay, who had a couple of good plays this past weekend. So it's depleted, but I think that when it comes down into the Buffalo Bills issues, I don't think defense is to blame whatsoever, to be completely honest with you.
You mentioned Kyer Elam. That was someone I had penciled in for the Jets at one point that might be interesting for us to look at and draft because we had his father and uncle or just uncle maybe? I think the uncle was traded to the Browns for the Jets to go up and get Mark Sanchez initially. That he was part of that package. It's like really goofy the way things work out like that.
Funny stuff.
Dude, I don't have any sort of I don't know. Your defense feels like it should be fine because the ineptitude of the Jets offense. We have not been able to score any points. We have been like held out of the end zone since the Giant game, and that was a one-play Breece Hall 50-yard run. And before that was the Eagles game where we were allowed to score a touchdown with Breece Hall at the end of the game because they wanted to get the ball back with more time. So really, our last legitimate like touchdown drive did not come since like week 5 against the Broncos, I think, was the last time the Jets actually had a drive for a touchdown.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. See, like, what I want to do is, like, I, like, want to come on here and just be like, oh, yeah, most definitely, man. Like, this Bills defense is definitely going to just, like, absolutely smother you. I mean, like, come on. Look at the product you've been putting on the field. But, like, you're literally talking to a team that let a game-winning drive come from Mac Jones, almost Tyrod Taylor, Baker Mayfield. Like, if, say that Chris Godwin were to like look over his shoulder and actually pay attention to the damn ball. So it's, I mean, listen, if there's any week for you to be able to get this going, all right, especially toward the end of the game, yeah, don't be surprised, man. Listen, like I said, I'm not mad at our defense, but like they're just so gassed at the end of the day. If you guys can keep this close right before the end of the fourth quarter, mark my words, I guarantee you that you will see the most efficient drive perhaps all season.
Oh man, that's sort of what the Jets have been all year. It's just keep it close, just give the defense enough opportunities to generate a turnover, and eventually Zuerlein's going to kick a 55-yarder, and we're going to feel better about ourselves. If the offense could find any semblance of like, there's some weird stat. I think it was if the Jets had scored league average in points for the last like 27 games, they'd be 21-5. Like just to score the average points. That's how good this defense is. I think it's 23 points a game.
So the thing is, and like this is actually like so this right here is a question geared toward you right now. Like, say for example, the whole like Aaron Rodgers sort of injury didn't happen week 1. With all of the injuries that are sustained right on your offensive line right now, do you think that there would have been that much of a difference in overall offensive efficiency with just him, or is the problem deeper for you?
So the answer is yes. Like
okay.
It's not a one way. It's not an easy question to necessarily answer. I do think if this Jets team had Rodgers, there would be certain games and plays that would have been tougher for us because Zach is so mobile. Like the Hail Mary at the end of the Raider game, that gave us a shot because Zach is mobile. Like, I don't know if Aaron has enough time to get the receivers all the way down the field to launch that ball where it needs to go. But, the situations leading up to it. The Jets at one point had like 1 touchdown in 9 red zone drives. And that's just not what Aaron Rodgers is about. It's the efficiency. It's the penalties that we're seeing. Like, I feel like Zach, since the bye week, the Jets have had 9 penalties, 8 penalties, and 8 penalties. And Zach hasn't been playing really bad necessarily, but he hasn't really been playing good enough to feel like he could hold people to account for those penalties. And if coaching isn't overcoming it, I don't know how you kind of get those players out of their own heads. Rodgers, I feel like if he were on the field, he would have nipped that in the bud and been like, hey, you're off the field right now. We're going to like settle this right now. Now we're starting to make some changes. You're getting Jeremy Ruckert involved. You're getting the release of Michael Carter. So Izzy might be coming up off the practice squad. But, Rodgers by himself, even though the O-line is fractured, I don't feel like the offensive line we had out week 1 was the best iteration of that line. I feel like our best iteration was when we had Becton left tackle, Tomlinson left guard, McGovern center, Tittman right guard, and then AVT right tackle. That felt like the strongest line, and that was when we had the Chiefs game. And that's unfortunately, I guess AVT was hurt the following week. But either way, that offensive line, I feel like would have been able to protect Rodgers enough where he'd get the ball out decisively. I feel like there's a processing error with Zach where he needs to see the guy get open as opposed to anticipating him getting open based on his leverage and putting the ball where it needs to be. So now he's rifling a throw much harder because he has the arm strength to do it, but it makes it a very uncatchable ball. Back in training camp, Garrett Wilson said something to the lines of like, oh, Aaron Rodgers has such a catchable ball, sort of implying that the previous guy did not. And I think that's sort of what you see with Zach Wilson, where it's like, oh, wow, he hit a receiver in the hands, but he's thrown it so friggin' fast that it's like not really a catchable ball.
Yeah, it's just an absolute bullet, like one of the two. That's something that Josh struggles with himself. And so what about Hackett's situation as well? I thought that I've seen a couple of Jets fans getting upset with Hackett as well. Is anybody in the Jets world blaming Hackett over Zach Wilson?
Yes, I would say myself, I would blame Hackett over Zach Wilson right now. The issue with Jet fans is we're not getting rid of Hackett. Like, Hackett's here for Rodgers, so you're just kind of stuck. Unless you say, hey, Rodgers, could you take over some play calling? I think it might help calm Zach down. Like, there might be ways to, like, sort of babysit to some extent, but I don't know how you can move play calling responsibilities to Todd Dowling and not feel like you're stepping on Hackett's toes. And Rodgers, to some weird degree, Rodgers, to some weird degree, is like holding this franchise hostage in the best way and worst ways possible. Because, like, it's great we have him, but if you had told us like, hey, would you want Nathaniel Hackett as your offensive coordinator without Aaron Rodgers? Everyone's going to say no. Like this offense and his Denver offense have looked putrid the last 2 years. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's more of a Hackett problem, but I feel like you can change the Zach problem. You can't change the Hackett problem right now.
Yeah. So basically, Sean Payton was right.
Yes. Fuck Sean Payton though. Screw that guy.
Yeah, fuck Sean Payton. But at the end of the day, no, like, and so it was definitely funny too because like when y'all hired Hackett and I knew that it was going to be paired with Rodgers, I always thought in the back of my head, I said, there's no way in hell that Hackett could ever look anybody in the eye and say that he was responsible for Aaron Rodgers. Like Rodgers was out there calling his own damn plays. Hackett was just like the ceremonial offensive coordinator at that point. Like, I mean, like he was just getting there and then his buddy Aaron just got him a head coaching job because Aaron was doing it all. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's funny, dude. It's funny that we're sitting here having this conversation right in the middle of the season, and it's the weirdest year in the world with football.
Lots of injuries, dude. Talk about the AFC North. Opens the door for our two teams.
That entire week, like you just see 3 superstars go down within like a 4 to 5 day period. One of the two. Like for the longest time, I thought that there was going to be 4 teams, maybe 3 from the AFC North that were going to make the playoffs from there. Now I'm not even entirely sure that there's going to be a wild card from that because the Bengals are done. And the Bengals are done with Burrow being out. I think the Browns could probably still end up maybe even winning the division. I'm not even going to lie to you because like Lamar Jackson just ended up losing out on his favorite target. I love Zay Flowers and Odell was even hurt a little bit after the end of that game.
Lamar took a shot to his leg too, I think. Like he's getting a little banged up now.
It's just been like back and forth. And like for some reason, I knew a part of me that AFC North division was just going to beat the shit out of each other and it wasn't going to look the same once the playoffs came around. But I'll tell you what, like my thought process of, hey, like the Bills playoff chances, like, and so I'm sure you see those graphics where like it shows your favorite team with like the percentage of like if they're going to make the playoffs or whatever. In my head, once we lost last week, I said to myself, I was just like, hey, I said, it's like a 10% for me. But the second that I saw Andrews, Burrow, and Watson go down within 4 to 5 days, like now it's like a 38% for me. I'm like, oh, this makes things
saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance, man. And it sucks, dude, because like this game for the Bills is a must win. It's a must win for us because afterwards, like I'm telling you, it's a damn gauntlet. It's an absolute gauntlet. It's the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Chargers, who, I mean, I guess they're hit and miss, right? And then obviously, and the Dolphins, that like last game of the season. So I was joking around with my buddy and I was just like, you know what, dude, wouldn't it be interesting if like the Bills had the exact same record as the Dolphins going into week 18, which I mean, and so I believe it might happen because, and the Dolphins historically choke. Like,
someone gets hurt and like they get some cold weather games. I mean, they got a Washington game, they got a Baltimore game. You know, Jet games on Black Friday. It still could be kind of cold.
I need y'all to win that Black Friday game more than anything, man.
Dude, our back's against the wall this week and next week. I really thought after like losing the Charger game hurt, and it was like, okay, we need to win 2 of the next 3, and then we just lost to the Raiders, which was like, I think it knocked us down to a 3% playoff chance, and then you guys lost, and then the injuries to all the quarterbacks happened, and now I think the Jets are sitting somewhere around 20%. And if we can, so if we can sit somewhere.
So it went from 3 to 20?
It went up. Like since you guys lost and then all the division like wild card spots. Because right now, after the Jets lost, I was like, our only shot, like with you guys losing, was going through the division. Because we have you guys and we have Miami twice. And the second Miami game, if there's like any truth to the Rodgers rumors, he might be back for that game, which makes this team entirely different. So we just have to hang around. Yeah, that's the hope and the prayer. It's like sell me hope right now.
And so make it attractive enough for Aaron Rodgers to come back and risk his own Achilles injury, right?
Like I have a feeling they're. I think they're just playing it up because they want to sell tickets. They locked season ticket holders into 2 years. They need to play up the Rodgers might come back this year to build excitement for next year. And like, I think Rodgers knew in his heart of hearts when he went down, a lot of people were like in a rough spot because of it. And he's trying to do everything he can from an outward perspective. We're lucky this team hasn't spiraled. After the Patriot game week 3, I thought this team was like totally in the crapper from like a locker room perspective. And even though they had the players only meeting this past week, they're still like really tight and really close together. It doesn't seem like there's any fracturing going on within the locker room. And, you know, I mean, it sounds like they want to hold people accountable. I don't know how much cutting your running back 3 is necessarily holding people accountable. But this is a week where the Jets have to get right against Buffalo, and you guys need it more than we do because ours is more of like a Hail Mary type attempt. Yours is like you guys still have the division on the line.
Yeah, dude, for sure. And like, I mean, and so not unless, you know, so the Dolphins absolutely choke against, you know, the Raiders this week, which would be interesting.
Be amazing. But I don't see it.
It would be. You know what, man? Like, dude, like, I mean. And so I'd feel a lot less pressure going on into this game. And like, I'm trying to rack my head around of any like potential, like benefits we have, or like, I would say things that make me confident about the Bills is that I don't think the Jets defense knows how to prepare for Joe Brady.
So this is what I was actually going to get into.
Brand new.
Let's game plan against ourselves. So I'll tell you how I think you should beat the Jets, like what our weaknesses are. And I want you to tell me how you think the Jets should beat the Bills, because you know your team way better than I know your team, vice versa. Mm-hmm. So I'll go first. Yeah. If I were McDermott and Joe Brady, I mean, ball control and wear out our defense, I think is important. I understand putting the game in Allen's hands, but if you can like avoid the big mistake with our defense and not let our offense have multiple opportunities to hang around, it feels insurmountable from a Jet fan perspective. If another team scores a touchdown on us, it feels too far to like overcome. It's unreal. The Chargers returned a punt return touchdown on us on like the second drive, and we get down in our seats. I'm like, the game's over. We cannot overcome 7 points. Like, this is absolutely absurd. Yep. So if you keep our defense on the field as long as possible and you just score points, you're going to put Zach in a spot where we just have not been able to have success. So it's a stupid game plan, but I would say if you guys can play ball control and limit Allen's turnovers, I feel like that is the key to your success.
That's, dude, like, I mean, like, that's exactly like what Bills fans have been hoping for. It's just like that turnover game. Like, people are shocked that the Steelers are 6-3 right now. The reason they're 6-3, my friend, is because they don't turn the ball over. That most vanilla offense on the face of the planet by Matt Canada is because yes, Kenny Pickett is definitely not the flashiest quarterback on the face of the planet, and their offense is abysmal, but they don't turn the ball over, and they have a solid defense, that gives them opportunities when it comes into it. I'll tell you what, stopping the Buffalo Bills, this is exactly what I think that the Jets should do, because first off, like, that Bills game plan is going to be run, right? Like, I think this is going to be a game where, like, you see the most possible rushing attempts from James Cook, maybe Fournette, say he's out there. Same thing with Latavius Murray. If you can chew that up, like, say, for example, that, like, you just keep it heavy up in the box at the beginning and just utilize, like, your super athletic linebackers and DBs to shut that shit down, it's going to start to get into a desperation mode for Joe Brady and Josh Allen, and they're going to have to go back to the pass game. And I think that's going to create turnover. So essentially, make the Buffalo Bills go back to the pass game exclusively, and that would be my plan from Saleh, from that entire organization defensively. Take out that run game, because that's exactly what they're going to attempt to do, because it's going to be an easy transition for Joe Brady for his first week calling plays. Essentially, make them go back to the Dorsey-style play calling, because if you can shut that down, then by all means, just knock it out. Because, like, it scares me how well this Jets defense matches up against literally, like, the trenches, wide receivers, and DBs. Number one thing, man, just go on ahead and make sure that run game is taken away, because I feel like the Bills are really going to go out there and try and switch up their identity entirely and just remind them that that's not going to work. And they're going to have to go back to what they're comfortable with. And what we're comfortable with on the same level is something that you absolutely thrive with by itself. And then also watch out for Josh Allen, because I have a feeling that this is going to be a game where he tries to unlock his legs as well.
We've had issues against running quarterbacks too. Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, all having a little bit of success on the ground. So I would love to see Quincy Williams shadow Josh Allen and just hit him like a heat-seeking fucking missile and just make him not want to run. I love watching Josh Allen run. As far as like quarterbacks go in the NFL, it kills me to say, and this was the same way with like Gronkowski being in New England. I loved Gronk. I really like watching Allen play. He's a very fun style quarterback to play, but I do get the satisfaction that our Jets are able to kind of contain him to some degree. It's going to be interesting to see nonetheless. I've got William Sprague in here. He says, Ryan and Dan, two of my favorite creators.
William. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, William, so much.
You're the man, bro.
Let's head into a little bit of an ad read here. So if you guys are new to the channel, Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code JETS247. You'll get yourself a first-time deposit match, 100% up to $100. This is a $20 entry I have going this week against the Bills. I want to see if Mr. Dan Mitchell, what he thinks about it. You could win $400 on this parlay here. So a little trick for me, Dan, that I've been doing to win a little bit of money is I've been taking the opposing team's kicker higher than whatever their kicking total is going to be. Because the Jets defense is so good, I trust that you guys are going to have to rely on the field goal kicker, or you're going to score some points anyway. So this is 2 field goals and a touchdown. You know, I could absolutely see that from your offense. And for the Jets with Zuerlein, the same thing applies. Our offense is anemic. I think Zuerlein is going to get 2 field goals. And I think this has hit like 8 out of 10 weeks for the Jets. Or maybe we're on game 10 for us now. So it's been like 7 of 9 weeks, I think. So from your perspective, what do you think of the kicking style stuff that I have here? And then we'll go into the rest of this.
So I'll tell you what, man, I like the Tyler Bass situation right there. The only thing that's been killing me is the fact that like we haven't necessarily been getting into our own territory, because we haven't really been getting a lot of field goal attempts, right? Like we're typically like really far back into our own territory. And then like we're not getting to a point where a field goal is even an option as of yet. But I think this might hit, because I think that just based off of what I've read on Joe Brady and how he runs his offense fits a little bit better for us. So I think higher on Tyler Bass, 1,000%, 1,010% is going to smack.
So Zach Wilson, it feels sad that I'm taking my quarterbacks higher on the rushing yards, but 14.5 yards. Zach gets out of the pocket pretty consistently and usually runs for at least 1 first down. So I would love to see the Jets finally get to a point where they're going to unlock Zach's legs. That's a part of his athletic, paradigm or whatever that they'd usually never use. But I think getting out of the pocket, that right-hand side with some of the edge rushers coming off, might flush him from the pocket a little bit more. I'm taking the higher on his rushing legs. How have you guys been against quarterbacks that use their legs?
Not too good. It's definitely over 14.5. I can definitely tell you that, because so our pass rush is creating pressure, but we're not getting home. And so we're not getting home whatsoever. And like, there's definitely a lot of opportunities for this. Like, I think that 14.5 should easily smack on this one.
So the two that I'm less confident in are Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, largely because that relies on our offense at least having first downs and opportunities for these guys to get any statistics. Garrett Wilson, 66.5 rushing and receiving yards combined. I feel like the last 4 games, and I think 6 of 9 games, Garrett Wilson has gone over that total anyway. So I'm confident in his ability, as long as after this players only meeting, they've decided, hey, we want to get the best playmakers the ball, which I think would be Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. And Breece Hall, 55.5 rushing yards. I would say the Breece part at the bottom is the one I'm most concerned about, because if you guys get out to a lead early, we may not be running the ball at all later in the game. So I'm less confident in that, but I think they had Breece Hall like over, it might have been like 75 or 85 yards combined, and I was like, I don't feel confident doing that either. So how do you feel about your defense going up against Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall?
So I think Garrett Wilson is definitely going to be one that's going to smash the over on this one. Breece Hall is interesting for me, because I know that like when I'm looking at the lines, I feel like for the past 4 games, his yards really haven't been to what they were for the first couple of weeks. But the Buffalo Bills are absolutely notorious for like letting big time runs up, as I'm sure you've seen. So I'd probably feel a bit more confident about the Garrett Wilson one just because of just like the standard matchups for the most part. He's probably going to be lined up against Benford, maybe Dane Jackson. And as much as I love Rasul Douglas, he's not the fastest on the face of the planet. He is like super physical, like at the line by itself. And he's a vet and love him for that. But I could definitely see Garrett Wilson being that guy because I definitely know our safeties are going to be put into an insurance policy to sort of help out like a Benford or like a Dane Jackson, like at that point. But I could definitely see Garrett Wilson going over 66.5. Breece Hall for me is just a toss up. Past 4 games, him not hitting his mark, it's making me think, oh shit, he's due. And he's going up against the Buffalo Bills, who are always known for like, just like letting off some 75, 80-yard run completely out of nowhere, especially since our linebackers have been having serious issues tackling for the past couple of weeks. I think Garrett Wilson is more of a lock for me, but with Breece Hall, we'll just see if the Bills want to tackle.
Oh, man. So, guys, if you want to get in on stuff like this, there's also plenty of other sports and other like props that you could wind up doing. You don't have to pick the ones I picked right here, but if you want to support the channel, it doesn't, they'll match your money. Pretty solid. You don't have to do anything crazy. If you're going to be betting anyway, highly recommend using Underdog Fantasy. Promo code JETS247. Get yourself a first-time deposit match up to $100, and they'll keep sponsoring the channel, hopefully. So, not too bad. We'll take that all damn day. Let's hop back into some more conversation stuff. Guys, if I got Dan here for about another 10 to 15 minutes or so, if you want to drop a capital Q with a colon, if you have a question for Dan, we'll answer some of your questions over the course of this next little bit here. Dan, I want to get your opinion on some weird rumors that I've heard come out of the New York area from us. And that's, well, the New York Giants have your former offensive coordinator in Brian Daboll, and they could use a quarterback. Did you hear any of these rumblings of either Daboll getting shipped back to Buffalo and McDermott being gone, or Allen getting traded to New York?
Got it. So I don't think Allen's leaving Buffalo whatsoever.
I don't want him to. I feel like that's he is Buffalo.
Exactly. We're going to put a stake in that, right? Because like I can really just reiterate what I was talking about a bit earlier with the whole like turnover issues from Buffalo. I think it was more of like an offensive play caller sort of thing. Sean McDermott getting the boot for the Buffalo Bills is a hell of a lot more realistic than people want to admit, right? Like there's been so much controversy between, why did Leslie Frazier take a sabbatical, right? And why does he always have issues with Daboll, which he did have issues with Daboll quite a bit. They argued regularly. Same thing with Dennison, who was with the Bills for a little bit as well. McDermott, in my opinion, his seat is very hot. He's running out of scapegoats, right? If, say, for example, that Joe Brady rolls in here and things are just entirely worse, I think McDermott is not going to be a Buffalo Bills coach next year. And it sucks because like he ended up, sort of making sure that we were out of the drought. We were contenders for about 3 years in a row at the end of the day, but very rarely when you bring in a coach to fix everything, when it was an absolute dumpster fire from Rex Ryan, is that coach ever going to actually bring you to the promised land? I feel like he's stuck in like historical football. And I feel like the league is moving to a place where the whole like defensive minded head coach, it's moving to a place where we need somebody with a bit more of an offensive mind going into it. I'm not sure if like the Giants would fire him year 2, especially if they brought him to.
So here's the other caveat is Belichick has always envied the Giant job. So if there's a situation where Belichick leaves, or even imagine Daboll gets traded to like New England and Belichick goes to New York, that'd be fucking crazy. That would be hysterical. I think I've got too much tinfoil on under my pilot hat.
Oh, dude, man, it happens to the best of us. And in fact, I was crazy, and I was just like, bro, and so the Bills threw that Broncos game to get fucking Dorsey fired, dude. You know what I mean? It's a football fan doing some crazy shit, you know?
William Hobson, he says, Scott Norwood is going to miss the game-winning kick tomorrow. Is he still? He's not still around. Is he? He's got to be still alive, I would think.
Yeah. It broke my heart.
63 years old is what they say.
63 years old, you know. Still living in witness protection program, you know. He's doing his
Terrible. Boys and girls, we do have a poll question in the chat. Can the Jets beat the spread against the Bills? I believe it's a -7 spread. I've seen -7.5. I've seen -6.5. It's been like right around there. So yes, Jets beat the spread and win. Yes, the Jets beat the spread and lose. Or no, the Jets don't do anything. So right now, 68% of us saying we're going to win, and 80% of us saying we'll at least beat the spread. So is that where you would say your money lies, Stan?
So I am taking the Jets +7.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult for me to like pick against my team to win or lose, but I think I'm gonna do it this week because like the way that I've been gambling this year, right? Like I think the gambling gods hate me, and like whatever team I put my money on to win, like never hits. So I'm taking matters into my own hands, and I'm betting.
You're trying
on
to
the
buy
Jets.
some victories. That's what you're trying.
I'm trying to buy some victories because like the gambling gods will not allow me to smack on any bet that I put down this year in 2023. So I mean, if I need to suffer financially for my team, you know, just
you're a martyr.
Switch script, I'll die a martyr, baby. I'll die a martyr. You know what I mean? I got to do what I got to do. But and so in all seriousness, though, dude, like I hate to say this. And so not only for Jets and Bills fans, but football fans in general, there's just a sneaking suspicion to me that this is going to be a game that like we watched back in like, so a documentary of the NFL, like 50s, you know, like clips and stuff like that, like black and white television, like barely any passing. Dude, like, and so I'm not even sure what the over under is, but like if the over under was like sat at 30 points, I would smack it. I'd probably even take the under, say that it was at 22 points. I don't think this is going to be a high scoring game whatsoever, and I think it's going to be close. So I mean, I think +7 for the Jets is literally almost a lock, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't see this being a high scoring game either. I want to say I saw it at 36 points, but I don't know if that might have been the Raider game that I saw last week. Either way, I think the Jets have been on the under in like every game that they've been a part of. It's unreal how good the defense is, and how putrid,
how bad the offense is,
dude. Just not a recipe for like eyeballs on TVs.
And so I feel like y'all probably hit the under for every single game minus the Cowboys game. I
think so. The only other one, maybe the Bronco game. I think the Bronco game we scored 31 points and won, and they had 20. But I don't know what the over-under was on that. If that was like a 50 spot, then it's like close, because I think we won that game by 4 points, if I'm not mistaken. Boys and girls, if you're just tuning in, we got a few more minutes here with Dan Mitchell. If you haven't subscribed to him, he's great. Buffalo Bills YouTube sensation. And you guys got to subscribe to him. Head over to his channel. It's linked in the description down below. If you sub up his channel and comment on his most recent video, Jets Talk sent you there, then you're going to get qualified for a t-shirt or jersey at the end of this stream. We're going to give that out. And I'm going to have Dan go over to his most recent video. So that way you're going to pick some of the people that are over there saying Jets Talk. So I'm hoping some people are going over there, subbing you up, and treating you right. Treating you right over there.
Already, man.
And don't forget to sub up the AFC East Roundtable. I represent 1/8 of the panel on Mondays with Richie over there. It's a good time. AFC East, Dolphins, Bills, Patriots, Jets, just going at each other's throats. Get some spicy conversation going. So it's definitely a highly recommended channel to sub up as well.
Solid show indeed. And so you have to sit there and just deal with TD Finn's talk just like me on a weekly basis, man, except for I do it.
Dude, I don't know what it is. And Jet fans, we need some more representation over there, because right now there's like a 16 or 15% Jets share, and there's like 60% Dolphins fans. It's absurd. We need some support over that way, because TD and Dudley are absolutely chewing us out.
Yeah. It's not fun. It's not fun. But you know what? Hopefully their team will disappoint them when it matters most, which they like. I mean, I feel like they do every single year. So let's just cross our fingers. Let's see what's going on with this weird ass NFL year.
Dude, if there's one game that I want the rest of the way out, it's not to end the Patriots streak. I want to thump Miami in the worst way possible. And if we can do it without Aaron Rodgers, oh, so much sweeter.
I need you to. I absolutely need you to. And here's the deal, dude. Like, no one's talking about this, right? Like, And so obviously I want this win against the Jets. I do. But like the whole Tua situation, man,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just have a feeling that he is going to have the worst game of his career as a pro on
Mm-hmm.
Black Friday. I just
So
feel
do
it.
I.
I feel it. Like I have a feeling that Tyreek and Waddle are about to be absolutely chewed up, locked
Mm-hmm.
up. He's going to look like shit, and Dolphins fans aren't going to know what to do. And if Zach Wilson can somehow, right,
Score any points, any
score
points.
any
Oh,
points whatsoever, maybe throw in like a defensive like TD here and there, etc.
dude, there's
I
just
think y'all
watching
can
the
beat the Dolphins.
Dolphins. They're so fast and they're so well coached, and like guys are running open all the time. But you know what's good? The most Jets thing that's going to happen is we're going to wind up losing to you guys this week, and then we're going to come out like heat-seeking missiles. Like Dolphins are going to like hang a 40 spot on the Raiders this week, and then they'll be like, oh, you know, the Jets are lowly, and the Dolphins are going into Black Friday. Jets are going to get humiliated again like the last 2 times on primetime, and then the Jets are going to like knock the shit out of the Dolphins. And then you guys are going to benefit, and we're going to have already lost our season because we lost in some stupid games to the damn Chargers, the Raiders, and then you guys. That's what's going to end up happening for us.
Oh yeah, dude. Like, see, it's funny for the Buffalo Bills too, because like some people are like, Dan, like, how do you envision it? Like, you must be heartbroken. And I said, listen, I've been a Bills fan way too long. If you think the Bills aren't finished breaking our hearts, you're absolutely nuts. What's going to happen for the Bills is that we're about to go on a fucking streak. All right. And they're going to give us hope again, only to rip it out of our chests soon as when we like have turned our belief that we're back. That's exactly what's going to happen. It happens every year. I know this team. Don't be surprised if the Bills go on like a 4 to 5 game win streak, like we beat the Eagles, the Chiefs, like the Cowboys. Everyone's like, oh my God, the Bills are back. And then we lose to the Patriots again.
Lose to the Dolphins on the final game of the season, and TD's
yeah, and
ripping
then we
you
lose
apart.
To the Dolphins, and then we're out. Yeah, dude.
Ugh.
Listen, I would not be surprised if that happened. That or like we lose in like some like 13-second like situation right in the wild card round or something like that. Trust me.
Dude, do you think your Super Bowl window is like closed now? Because Allen's contract is hitting, and I feel like it gets very tough to win with a big contract like Allen's. And I thought you guys should have won a ring once in the last 3 years.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. So I'll tell you what. If not this year it's closed, next year it is. Because we have like 14 to 15 pending unrestricted free agents. We literally have we're not going to be able to bring any of these guys back. Now they are getting older, so maybe it is good that we are going to be replacing it with some youth. But I still think as long as Allen is in the picture on this team, I think we're definitely a playoff team, and like we're definitely a contender for the AFC East, and we're definitely always going to be a threat to like make the playoffs by itself. But as far as like a window of having the most complete, like you can't find a glaring hole anywhere, like on a personnel standpoint. Next year, this Bills team is going to look a hell of a lot different, dude. We're going to have like.
Do you think Diggs is there next year?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Most definitely. Like next year, Diggs has 2 options. He has an option of either being a Buffalo Bill or sitting out and retiring, because a dead cap hit on us would be $31 million.
Wow.
And Brandon Beane is not paying Diggs to play for another team next year. Right. So I just don't think it's going to happen. Like there's 2 options. He either plays for the Buffalo Bills or,
sits out, loses out on that money. Not happening.
He's just, he's just going to have to go because he has an out at the end of next season. So that's basically his, like, I mean, like, in my opinion, say that like we can't make it to a Super Bowl this year, and then
deadline,
next year we have some of the same. I could definitely see him going on with his out because the Bills and Diggs have an out at the end of 2024. That's when I think moves would be made. But so like next year of him sitting out, like I'm sure he's seen the movie before with Le'Veon Bell taking a year off of football, not thinking that was going to affect him at all. And
Deshaun Watson the same way. Dude, Watson looks like garbage too.
Yeah, well, I mean, now we won't know. You know, he's out for the season again.
Dude, he's going to miss like 3 years of football by the time this is all said and done. Close to it.
Dude robbed the city of Cleveland blind, dude. Dude, he's in there with that guaranteed money.
Dude, I'm not a huge Watson fan, but I love, like, the Browns kind of screwed Baker. Not that I thought, obviously I think Watson's a better quarterback than Baker, but Like Baker went in there, he gave you his whole heart, and like I don't think it was all on him why they were losing, but then like to go around and get Watson, give him all the money, and to not get anything in return, let alone letting Josh Dobbs walk out the building and like start doing well with the Cardinals and now the Vikings, and now Watson's out and you need Dobbs more than ever.
It's Brown karma, better team. It's Browns karma. It's funny because they have a Super Bowl caliber defense, and so do the Jets, But like at least the Browns offense, right, can score, right? Like that's what like right at the beginning of the season, like. And so I had two teams that I thought were really going to shock some people, and that was the Cleveland Browns was number one, and I think that they're like a game out of the AFC North. And then I said that the Lions were going to represent the NFC this year in the Super Bowl. And people thought I was nuts when I said it. I said, listen, the Lions will be in Vegas this year in the Super Bowl.
I picked them to win the North. I didn't say Super Bowl, but I thought 49ers would represent, just because I'm a little more biased with Salah and him coming from that way.
Yeah. I like the Lions.
Yeah, I would say the Lions are filthy.
Oh, they're good, man.
Dude, I don't want to see Ben Johnson go to New England.
He'll be somewhere. Like,
you think Belichick's definitely out?
Yeah, dude.
It's got to be, right? At this point, there's too many rumors, too much smoke.
He'll be. My guess is that he'll probably be like the Commanders guy.
Yeah.
So he's going to the NFC, and so I'll tell you that he's not going to an AFC team. I think that
the Chargers was the only team I thought he might go to. I thought Chargers and Commanders, and then like Giants would be a long shot third.
He'd probably like having a quarterback like Justin Herbert because like that offense makes sense, right? Like,
and going against Tom Brady as the Raiders' partial owner, like I feel like there's a little juice to that too.
Yeah, that right there. But like then like
and
with
old guys retire in warm weather. Going from New England to LA, dude's ready to retire.
Oh yeah, dude. He just wants that one record, and then that's it. And then afterwards, and so
I was hoping he'd stay in New England like long enough to just like get beaten down and just not get it. They should keep him and Mac Jones up in New England. I think it's a great tandem. I don't want to see anything change.
It's a great tandem. I mean, it's funny with Belichick, man. Like, I think the issue is that like. I think that things would be fixed over in New England if they took away his GM like responsibilities and they just had him be the head coach. That's it. Yeah. But I think his pride is too large where he would continue to want to stay with New England if they rip those responsibilities from him. Because and so I'm sure like we all remember like it's, the first round, it's time for the Patriots to select their first pick. And like, we're looking at like these three running backs and there's a solid quarterback that can come in, a solid wide receiver. And he takes some offensive tackle from like St. Mary Joe's College, a D2-3, like down the road in like Mississippi or some shit. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. But I think Ben Johnson, he could definitely be that. And then also Jim Harbaugh is also something that I'm looking for because I don't think that Harbaugh is going back to Michigan next year at all, especially with what the NCAA just did to him.
Yeah.
So I really think that Harbaugh is going to be a head coach of some NFL team. And I mean, with all the cheating allegations, I think that just fits perfectly with, so the Patriots. It's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, it makes too much sense. Like, oh, he's videotaping, they're videotaping. They can figure it out. Dude. Mac Jones probably staying an extra year. They're going to draft someone. He'll be the bridge quarterback. It'll be that Colin Kaepernick / Alex Smith situation again. Just on the East Coast. God, I don't want
Jim
that.
Harbaugh, man.
I don't want that. I really don't want that. I'm hoping he goes to Oakland. I'm hoping Pierce doesn't stay there and he goes somewhere else.
Right. We'll see what's going on. Yeah, that or Washington as well, because like he'd be like super close, at least like on like a geographical standpoint, right to his brother.
Yeah, there's a stone's throw. Thanksgiving's a lot easier when you're 25 minutes away.
Exactly. And so with Thanksgiving would be a hell of a lot easier between the Harbaugh brothers right there, right in the same area by itself. But yeah.
All right, boys and girls, we're going to pick a T-shirt, jersey, something winner right now. Dan, can you head over to your most recent video? I did see a few, although I probably should have specified. I said most recent video, which is actually a live stream. So if you did not go over to the live stream, Joe Burrow is out for the season. Comment Jets Talk sent you over there. You're going to get qualified for a T-shirt or shirt or jersey or whatever's going on right now. But you got to go over there right now. You got to subscribe to Dan, and you got to leave a comment that says Jets Talk sent you. And Dan, can you head over to your most recent stream?
Yes, sir. Start giving you some names.
Yeah, let's see. Hopefully, we got some in there. Usually, like a early midday weekend. There's a few.
Oh yeah, there is a few. We have one is Fear is Grim.
Ooh, okay, all right.
Fear is Grim. We have Jess Rock 2200.
Jess Rock.
So then we have Rad Ames Prime.
All right.
We got Lee 100s, Leee 100s.
100s. All right. Let's see, we got any more in there?
That's gonna be it. Not unless there's any last minute commenters coming in. That's gonna be it right there.
Only 4 people get in on this t-shirt giveaway. All right. So let's do this.
So I like the odds.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. If you guys wanted a shot at a shirt or a pillow or a mug or any of this stuff, that would have been the time to do it. All right. So we've got only 4 people over there. We're going to have Fear is Grim is number 1. Jess Rock is number 2. Radimus Prime, number 3. Lee 100S is going to be number 4. We're going to hit the random generator. Ooh, Jess Rock. Jess Rock, you are about to win something.
Let's Rock.
See. We are going to spin the wheel. Ooh. No whammies, no whammies.
No, dude, listen, I love this format.
Oh, man, that was close to a jersey. We haven't had to give out a jersey yet, but Jess winds up winning a pillow. So, Jess, reach out to me, jetstalk247@gmail.com. Let's get your information, and I'll send you out a pillow. Be pretty cool. Going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and heading over there and supporting Dan as well. Dan, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, man. Likewise. It's always a pleasure. I am, like I said, I mean, my expectations are low. I'm just really hoping to see improvement from this new offensive coordinator and just see some good football. It's a wild time to be a Bills fan, man. I mean, if you were to ask me what I thought that we would be at this point during the season, and if you were to tell me 5-5, I would have called you absolutely insane. But hey, man, here we are. You know, football is a humbling hobby. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's an any given Sunday league. That's the only thing that's keeping us Jet fans kind of going, is like maybe we can figure it out week after week. If you had told me we'd be 4-5 at this point, I'd be like, okay, I guess I could kind of see it. I'd be a little upset at that particular point, but like, oh, the back half of the schedule's easy. Rodgers will have us fine. Well, it's a new game. It's a new day. It's going to be a new challenge. So, boys and girls, if you haven't already, head over to Dan Mitchell's channel, sub him up, and catch us on the AFC East Roundtable on Monday nights. You got to help support us. Got to help support us over there. But Dan, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This is Jets Talk signing off. JETS.